So let's talk about attachments. If you are not familiar with what an attachment is, it's basically non-coherent energy that hooks itself into your field. So think chaos energy. And it feeds on your energy, your attention, your oversoul light, your emotions. And a lot of times they go unnoticed because they work in the shadows. They weave in, they distract, they distort, they drain you. And they do this by feeding, looping, masking, and mimicking your energy, where your energy by itself creates, restores, and transmits. But I don't want you to get scared because the energy is not evil. It's just inverted, meaning like it's disconnected itself from oversoul light, which is what we would call God or soul energy. So it needs other people's energy in order for it to stay alive. So that's where we come in. So I'm going to tell y'all the different types, what they look like, what they do. And at the end, I'm going to give y'all an invocation to say every single day. And I think in another video, I'm going to do the astral parasites. So the one that I see a lot because we live in a fear-based society are thought or mental feeders. These come through trauma loops, through collective programming, and also prolonged fear. And what that looks like is you keep repeating the same thought even though like you fighting it. Also, anxiety is a part of that, but those inner arguments where it feels like you arguing with yourself or you arguing somebody else's position. Yeah, so this one basically feeds off of your looping energy and it keeps looping the same thought even if you try to get away from it. And the way that it goes unnoticed is that you think it's your thought. And that's why I tell y'all all the time y'all need to have awareness of what's going on inside of your head because not every thought belongs to you. And if you're constantly paying attention to what's aligned with you and what's not aligned with you and nurturing yourself around the ones that are not aligned with you, you are able to mitigate this energy. So the solution for mental feeders is sitting in stillness, sitting in silence so you can discern between the voices, but also sovereignty mantras, claiming out loud that this thought does not belong to you, that your oversoul light is the only light that can speak through you. Next, you have astral parasites, and these are 4D feeders. Now, these look like octopus. I went through a portal one time in a dream, and whoever my guide was removed one of these off of me, and it has tentacles like an octopus. And apparently, certain species have fell out of alignment with a oversoul light, or what we would call God energy as well. And they exist on the astral plane. So if you see an octopus-like being, that's usually an astral feeder. Now, these are created in the dream realm. They're also created because of sexual trauma, because of unresolved grief, and they also attach to addiction fields. So a lot of times when y'all drinking them spirits, y'all enter into the spiritual realm unconsciously, and these things are able to hook into your field. What they want is emotional suppression energy. They want sexual energy, and they also feed off of any unclear boundaries that you have. So anything that you're doing unconsciously, and that's why I tell y'all all the time, intention setting is the best thing you could ever do for yourself, even when you go to sleep. So you have to reclaim all of your soul essence that you once left unguarded. Next, you have interference beings, and these can come through your phone. So I've talked about the patent that they have before where they can send interference energy through your phone. That's why you need a Faraday cage, EMF stickers, or you need to put your phone away from you while you sleep. This is what I'm talking about. This energy can be mimic intelligence. It could be AI light hybrids, or it could just be fragments of like the human field, but they feed on identity wounds. So those of y'all who are struggling with y'all identity or showing up authentically, they also feed on the fear of being seen, and also people who like overperform or people who have a false sense of power. Those are what I like to call egomaniacs. And they do this by mimicking your intuition, pretending to be you in your head, whispering things in your ear, and because you have not been taught about the spiritual side of things, you think it's your fucking thought. So you have to name it out loud and be like, no, this is not my energy. Only the light of my oversoul may speak through me. And you also have ancestral bloodline entities. And a lot of these are in our epigenetics, meaning like the DNA that's passed down from line to line. They live in our bones. They live in our wombs. I see this a lot of times with women in their womb, but they also live in male sperm as well. These feed on shame and guilt and generational silence and also abandonment wounds. And what they do is kind of loop your identity into the unhealed trauma of your lineage. And this can look like illness and poverty. It can look like toxicity in relationships with women all the time, especially women who I've seen who've dealt with extreme sexual trauma. I will see a kid 3 people down the line that has womb trauma. They have those severe periods, or they have ovarian cysts, and it's not actually coming from them. It's coming from the pain that's been passed down. Then you have emotion feeders, or like wound amplifiers. These feed on envy, on powerlessness, on victim mentality. They feed on prolonged anger. They also feed on spiritual superiority. So those people who are just masking their ego with spirituality. And basically, these ones only amplify or distort the things you're already feeling. And that's why I tell y'all attachments sometimes can be used as a learning opportunity because they only can mimic or amplify in you what you have not dealt with. So you need to sit in silence, listen to what the voice is telling you, and then just heal those things. They also can block you when you're trying to change, meaning like, you're trying to change and something like constantly triggers you and you're trying to do it a different way, and every time that you go to try to do it a different way, it triggers an automatic reaction. But this one is kind of tricky too because it can manifest in you projecting your shit onto other people, but it also manifests in online outrage. So some of the things that are being done online are done intentionally because when these emotional feeders enter into your field, they're able to kind of keep you stuck in a trauma loop, keep you stuck in an angry state, keep you feeling powerless and helpless. And the last one is rare, but these are beings that we make sacred contracts with without our full consent. And sometimes they can come through the dream realm. Sometimes they can come through mimic magic. Sometimes they can come through trauma bonding with somebody else because you create this cord that connects you to, and that entity could come across that cord. But this feeds off your attention. It feeds off submission. It feeds off your gifts. And it siphons your frequency and it siphons your soul energy and drains your creative life force. And it also tethers you to contracts that are not originally for you. You didn't come here with that contract to fulfill. It tethers you to like an outside contract. So here's an invocation that I say every single day. I walk with my oversoul flame. No voice may speak in me that is not of my light. No energy may feed without my flame's permission. I revoke all mimic, drain, loop, or shadow interference. I restore my field in truth. I am sovereign in presence and power. I also have a shadow protection course on my website. You click where it says book a service. It's the first one on my website. This course is 3.5 hours and it's full of rituals and things that you can do to protect yourself. I talk about how to make herbal oils to anoint yourself. I talk about how to make crystal grids to protect yourself while you're sleeping. I talk about dream catchers. I talk about sound healing. I talk about shadow work because shadow work is so important to keep away those emotional feeders. I talk about energetic alignment. I give you rituals for you to open your heart. I give you rituals to clean your womb. I teach you how to do energy work. I teach you how to do visualizations. I teach you the different colors that are associated with different things. I talk about herbs. I talk about ancestral covering because that is your best line of defense when you're not in energetic alignment. I talk about spiritual hygiene, clearing your field, anything you can possibly think of. 3.5 hours of just hitting it with knowledge. It is a course, so I am teaching the entire time. Go check it out. It's available on my website, www.bigtaj.com. Underneath my picture where it says book me, click that, and it's the very first one. If this helped you, drop a 444 in the comments. Happy healing, friends.